Hey everyone, this is Founders 365 with me, Steven Haggerty. Today we have Angela Hill. She is founder of Recommend Recruitment. Now, nobody shoot us. We've got a recruiter on. It's going to be okay. How are you today, Angela?
I'm fantastic. Thank you. Thank you for asking. How are you?
I'm very good, thank you. I think I should run a competition straight away to be like, can we guess your accent?
Oh, fabulous. Excellent.
It's all over.
So going to keep mixing it up so
yeah,
that I'll keep you on
keep
your toes.
up, keep people on pick their toes. If you're listening or watching or whenever you're listening to this, write to me and try and guess. And the winner, we'll send the winner something.
Well, actually, I found something we can send the winner.
There we go. Paddy Power pants for anyone not on video.
Yeah, amazing. I received these through in the post. So helpful to a single woman. I mean, it's what I've been waiting for.
The real question is, how much money are you spending on Paddy Power?
To receive pants.
Is this interview now going to go in a whole different direction, all about gambling habits and things?
Wow, basically there's a sign up thing, but I mean, talk about not spending your marketing budget wisely, quite honestly, because funny as it was to receive them, they are going in the bin, whereas you think a nice Paddy Power mug, and you can get a Recommended Recruitment mug if you're really lucky.
There you go.
So much more useful, better use of your budget.
Yeah. I've never seen Paddy Power pants, but now I have. So thank you for blessing my eyes with those.
Literally, your life is complete now.
Yeah, exactly. So, recruiter for 13 years.
Well, 23, really.
Oh, yeah. 3 years. That's even more scarier. Recommend Recruitment for 13 years, right?
Yes, that's right. Yes.
So give me a blurb of what Recommend Recruitment does.
So these days, Recommend Recruitment recruits for the recruitment industry, which is something
rec to rec.
Rec to rec.
The weirdest niche I've ever come across.
Do you know what's weird is when you get told no by a recruitment agency and you're like, are you actually fucking serious? You do not understand the value of what we do, really. Yeah. You want me to run through this? And it's brilliant. So we know what we're looking for. Well, clearly you don't, because you've been looking for a long time.
I've always thought about that. Like, why does a recruiter need a recruiter to hire a recruiter? But hey, it's a massive niche. It's a massive industry within an industry.
It's the same as everybody else. It's time and money. If you're away from the phone, you're losing money. That's the reality of it. So, it's the time and energy.
Exactly. So how has Recommend Recruitment evolved over the last couple of years, perhaps? Let's focus on.
So probably I've always chased the money, to be deadly honest. I started in recruitment, I'd say a long time ago, 23 years ago, and I landed right on my feet. And, I do think there's an element of luck to life. I don't care what anybody says there is. So it was 1998. Everybody thought the planes were going to fall out of the sky. 2000 happened, and so we had the police force spending $4,000 a week on contractors from basically, and that's just my tiny little contribution, just to kind of give you a bit of we were billing 180 grand in 3 months. My best quarter, I did 250 grand on contractors in IT, just to kind of show you the magnitude of what was going on at the time. So as I say, really landed on my feet there. I didn't know my C++ from my elbow when I started. The guy that joined with me on the same day, he walked out at lunchtime.
No way.
Because Progressive and S3's training program at that time was, there's your computer, there's a phone, 9 for an outside line, off you go. And that was it, it was
needed.
Yeah, nothing. So that was fantastic, and it worked really well until it didn't work, if that makes sense. You get 9/11 pulled the plug on the IT industry. So I then started looking at oil and gas, and I thought, right, that's for me. I like the look of this, and found myself heading over to Perth, Australia. And yeah, sort of made a fortune there as well. Again, right place, right time. Learned as I went, and yeah, fell on my feet. Barrow Island was being murdered basically.
Yeah.
To get the LPG gas out. But literally, I do remember sort of sitting with a project manager in a Starbucks and him explaining upstream, downstream to me. And that was the first time I'd ever heard those words. I'd been doing the job for 12 months at that stage.
You thought 12 months on, you thought, right, now it's time for a training session.
Absolutely. We need to piece this puzzle together now. Yeah. But that is the great thing I think about recruitment is that your candidates, it's their favourite subject. You know, whatever industry you find yourself in, all that knowledge is there in the people that want you to help them to find a role.
Yeah.
So you just need to talk to them and they'll tell you everything you need to know about your industry.
Funny. And what's been your biggest, when did you come, first question, when did you come back from Australia back to the UK?
So I got back to Australia. I put my teeth in. Sorry, I got back from Australia basically when the arse fell out the market. 2015, Perth just became like an absolute ghost town overnight.
Wow.
90% of what needed to be done was construction within the oil and gas industry. So again, I think this is crucial. You need to know when to quit. And actually, I should have quit in 2014. So that was a big lesson for me. Don't need to stay until the bitter end. You really don't. You know, when all the signs are there and the writing's on the wall, it's a really good time to know when to bail, basically. Yeah. So next time I'll be ready.
So you came back. So you came back 2015. Did you still have the love of recruitment, and did you go straight back into it?
No, definitely not. I fall in and out of love with recruitment, and I envy those that have got that steady mind, you know, that sort of consistency, because the key is consistency without a shadow of doubt. You know, you need to dig in. What is it they say? A centimetre wide and 5 miles deep. You need to love the industry that you're working within, have a real passion for that. And as I say, it is purely consistency and learning your market and enjoying working within that environment. And I've been more like this, as I say, chasing the dollars. And it's worked. I mean, as I say, I've no complaints. It's worked really, really well for me. But yeah, I kind of wish I'd fallen in love with digital marketing from day one and just done that as a nice flat line for 23 years. I'd be a millionaire, you know?
Imagine how bored you would be.
Well, there is that. I do have the attention span of a gnat. So it has been really, somebody else said to me that not so long ago. They were like, right, recruitment isn't rocket science. I've nailed it. I know what I'm doing now. What do I do next? And I'm like, there isn't.
Just keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah, keep doing and do more of it.
Yeah. Exactly. What's been some of the biggest changes you've seen in the industry? Because it seemed, I think I read a stat a couple of years ago that something like 4,000 recruitment companies started up in like London alone in 1 year. That includes one-man bands and things.
Of course.
But
which is good. I like those guys.
It's great for you because you're a rec to rec, right?
No, I mean, God, I remember when I started with Progressive, there was Progressive and there was Computer Futures. Do you know, we genuinely didn't know anybody else was doing what we were doing at that stage. Didn't occur to us for a minute, and we never met other recruiters.
Really? You just thought you were in this little bubble and loving
life. But we'd be talking, you'd talk to like your colleagues that you graduated with at the same time. They'd be like, when you're getting a real job, then, you know, this is your summer job.
Yeah.
It didn't occur to us that this was actually a serious career until we were probably 2-3 years in. And I think I'm honestly speaking from most of my ex-colleagues when I say that. We loved the money, we loved the glamour and the excitement of it all. We actually thought we were going to go into what we'd done our degrees in and train at some stage. And 23 years later, there's quite a few of us still here.
I don't think. What's the percent of people that go to university and actually go into doing what they study? That it must be quite low.
It's changed, massively.
So, what can you see changing most in recruitment in the last couple of years? In this, when you're speaking to clients, what how are they evolving their businesses as opposed to obviously, 1998, a computer and a phone and a phone book and what was those paper filer things, filer faxes or something?
I was a little bit more advanced than that. We had an access database. That was
fancy.
I think the biggest changes for me how we engage with the contractors and the clients. Sorry, the candidates. It's all these C's. It's how we engage with the candidates, and it's all about the candidate's experience, no matter what. Now, your client's paying your bill, sure they are, but at the end of the day, if the client, if the candidate doesn't stay there for 3 months, your bill isn't getting paid. I don't care what you say. So from that perspective, for me, it's customer service, and it's about that candidate's journey. And then the clients kind of look after themselves, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I've always thought recruitment is a people business. It's a contact sport. It's building those relationships with people. You've got to enjoy that aspect of the role, because if that's your idea of torture, you're
in the wrong game.
You're in the wrong game.
Yeah.
Totally. I've heard people's life stories from start to finish. And you're required to remember that as well.
Definitely. So if you were going to start again tomorrow from fresh, how would you do it?
Okay, I think the key things for me is, as I say, when I got back from Australia in 2015, literally I had 4 kids and 4 suitcases, and I had to save up for the laptop, and the phone had to go on credit, which I actually think is brilliant, because, the best piece of business advice I was ever given was, if somebody gives you 20 grand to set up a business, you will go and spend 20 grand to set this up. And then you're constantly on the back foot. You're under pressure. So whilst to a degree I was under a bit of pressure, I needed to make money, but I couldn't fail, if that makes sense. There was nothing bad going to happen as a result of me getting started, picking the phone up and talking to some old clients and getting going. Literally, the only thing I would do differently is I'd have just started it sooner. I lacked confidence, and I had a few false starts, if you like. And I was telling another friend the other day, I was in Perth at one point, and I was thinking, I'm just going to do this. I'll get on with it, and I'll just recruit from my sun lounger in my back garden.
Yeah.
And I didn't. And then I went to work for another agency, and in my first month, I billed 27 grand. Well, you can imagine how much of that I saw, not a lot. And
all yours.
Yeah, if I'd have actually pulled my finger out and done it, that would have been straight in my pocket.
What made you do that? What made you pull your finger out? What was that final push?
Well, for me, it was like that or starvation. But no, I'm only joking.
I was 1 penny away from being on the street.
Exactly. No, it was literally the thought of having to go and do this for somebody else. And one of my friends offered me, I went and had an interview at her company, and I wanted to do a master's degree at the same time. So literally this company bent over backwards. There was nothing more they could have done for me. We were talking a 9:30 a.m. start. I could leave early 2 nights a week to go to uni. And now lunch, they could do no more. Really could. And that wasn't enough, it really wasn't. I was still sat there thinking, but I'm only getting 30% of this commission and you're getting 70. And that broke my heart. So that was the final tip for me.
Yeah. For you, when you're seeing all these other business, like recruitment companies start and grow, what red flags do you often see in the marketplace at the moment?
So there's 2 things. I think the directors need to be the hardest working people within the business. If I'm phoning up to talk to them at 8:30 and their staff are in and they're not,
red flag.
That's a massive red flag for me, because monkey does as monkey sees, as they say. And you're putting far too much trust then in people that actually don't love your business. Nobody loves your business like you do, and going to look, I don't care what anybody says, nobody's going to look after it like you do. So those are the huge ones. Secondly, I think is if they're talking to me about a low basic, which is something that the people literally can't live on, I think that's a big thing when companies come up to the northwest. They seem to think that the rents and everything is half up here. It isn't. It really isn't.
How do you conquer that? How do you conquer that then?
You have to spell it out. I mean, this is the big part of recruitment consultancy for me. The key is we are consultants. So if we don't tell them what they don't know, we haven't done our job, and you need to know your market. You need to understand that client B is paying a 30k basic and they're giving out 10% commission of everything billed over $5,000, and it's in increments. And you need to be able to back that up without giving away competitor information. So you have to be careful. You can't name names. Discretion is absolutely key with our industry. But equally, you have to be convincing, and knowing your numbers and being able to spiel them off on the top of your tongue really is the key to that. So you know your market. But again, that applies to every recruitment industry sector, doesn't it? Nothing magical there.
Nothing magical. I think it depends. It applies to any business, really, isn't it? It's like, you got to know your stuff. You've got to be able to speak confidently. You've got to be able to be comfortable speaking to people in general. Like we said, there's very few businesses / jobs out there which aren't people focused, I don't think, nowadays.
Exactly. And tell them when they're wrong. I mean,
that's a great one.
Yeah, tell them if they're wrong. They don't know what they don't know. And that's the way I kind of look at this, is that especially if it's your own business. But equally, if you're in an environment of trust, which you should be in a recruitment job, because basically your desk is your own business. That was one of the major things that appealed to me about the whole sort of job, if you like, is it's very entrepreneurial and your desk is your baby. You know what's going on there. So, you need to consult. And if the client's talking out their arse and they're asking you for something that just does not exist, you need to have the confidence and the courage in your conviction to be able to tell them that in as gentle or as blunt way as your relationship will allow. But there are some companies I've just turned around and said, you know what? Good luck.
Yeah.
Off you go. If you find that, can you let me know and I'll have another one as well.
Exactly. How long did it take you to get the confidence to start saying no to companies?
Do you know what? I think that massively comes with age. It's a big thing. And, when you're 22 and you're a bit green around the gills and all the rest of it, and you're a people pleaser as well, which I think most young people are. They don't want to upset anyone.
Yeah.
So I do think it's one of those things that you have to grow into. You can't be the older woman until you're older. So it's one of those. But I mean, gosh, if you can get it early on, then you're going to be winning. You're going to do so well. But again, I think that then comes with being the expert in your area, whatever your industry sector is. If you're placing Java programmers, if you know your onions and you know your market, you're the go-to person. They're coming to you for advice here. And that's the position you want to be in as an agent. You really need to hold all the cards.
Exactly. How do you or fellow agencies set yourself apart? Just because of the amount of recruitment agencies out there now fighting for the same, it's a little bit dog eat dog. So how do you set yourself apart?
With me, it's my USPs. Literally, I will not send anybody to work for a company that I won't work for myself. That's it. Yeah. Well, when I'm talking to clients, I mean, obviously, I'm not going to say I visit every one of them. Of course, I don't. You get a feel for them over the phone. And you get an idea as to what the environment's like. You hear them describing. I've got some key questions. I'm not going to give away all my secrets, but one of them is I'll say to them, what's your idea of a successful consultant? And if all they're talking about is money, you can keep that. That's all right. Because money, I mean, we've all done the psychology training behind it. Money will motivate you up to a certain point.
Exactly.
You won't keep people there. And what I'm looking for is long-term relationships. I want repeat business. So, yeah. You sort of listen out for a few, I say, red flags, really, as you mentioned. And if they come up.
Do you think business cultures are changing then? Because I think it used to be so, or this is the the appearance, it seems that it used to be a lot more money focused. You've got to want to bill $1 million a year, and do all this sort of stuff. And now people, I think, are wanting jobs where it's a little bit more friendly to their lifestyle, friendly to they don't want to be working at 1 a.m. to call a company in Japan or whatever.
Don't be self-employed then, because that's what you'll be doing.
Yeah, don't just call Angela and she'll help you get a job, because that's what
yeah, don't worry about the time difference.
Yeah. But can you notice a difference in the culture?
100%. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I actually don't. And it's funny because you'll get the odd dinosaur who'll be like, oh, well, they wouldn't have survived in my day. Mate, you didn't survive in your day.
And now you're struggling to survive in this day because you're not adapting, right?
No, it's totally true. It really is. I mean, I've come across quite a few. And the thing is, I think as well, we're now having kids, the people that worked in those environments. I don't want my daughters treated like that. Mm. And actually, I know for a fact they wouldn't stand for it, which is great. It's how it should be. I wish we told more people to get stuffed, not staying here till 8 o'clock. And I don't care if you bought me a pizza.
Yeah, exactly. What do you think the disadvantages of that culture there? The not staying to wait, the not being perhaps so invested, maybe not be the right word, but so
committed.
Yeah, committed.
I actually think they work harder these days. That's what I've seen. The younger people, I think they work harder than we ever did. They know they need to, basically. You look at house prices, they look at pensions. They're going to need to put in the yards. They're probably not going to retire until they're 70. So, yeah, I'm not seeing any
that's depressing, isn't it?
It is. Definitely not seeing any lack of work ethic at all. But they're using their brains. They know that, all right, I might have to take a phone call at 8 o'clock, but there's no reason for me to be in the office for that.
Exactly, yeah.
The phone isn't attached to the wall anymore. So, yeah, there's more opportunity for them to just make it fit in with their lives. And that has to be a good thing. It's progress. It's good.
Massively. How much do you think technology is helping recruiters nowadays?
Oh, hugely, massively. It's taken away all the shit that we hated doing. You show me a recruiter that's good at admin and good at sales, and I'll show you a unicorn. So, ideally, if it can take away all the grunt work, all the admin. I mean, I'm a huge advocate of using systems. I'm not very good at them, but I do make myself use them, because it's as simple as garbage in, garbage out. If you put the work in and you put the effort in and you make sure your systems are up to date and on point, you're going to make money. You just are. So that, I think the technology needs to be embraced massively. We use a product called Interview, and literally last week I'm interviewing this guy 7 o'clock at night. He's in Singapore, I'm in England, and this is for a role for him in Germany.
Amazing.
How good is that? It's fantastic.
It's with the technology aspect, do you feel that there's a threat to sort of your industry in particular in terms of rec to rec? Because you've now got so many apps, so many bits of software now that can pair people together using AI and all that kind of stuff. Do you think there'll always be a need for the human in recruitment?
See, I think that comes down to whether you think recruitment is a science or an art.
Oh, what is it then? You tell me. You're the expert.
Dark arts.
Dark arts, yes.
I do think it's an art. I really do. It's reading one managing director and picking up on all the little soft skills and all the little body language indicators that they give you as to what they're actually really looking for in a person. And then you go and meet that person, in whatever environment, and your light bulbs are going off and going, aha, they're perfect for X, Y, and Z. And sometimes the stars don't align and it's not meant to be. There's many a time I've met two people who I just think different time, different place. They would have made beautiful music together. It would have been an amazing partnership professionally. but it's just not happened. And obviously that wasn't meant to be. But I think the human element of it is so important, and people buy from people, you know, is the number one. People need to think really carefully with the technology about their online image and their online, what perception people are getting of you.
Yeah.
And again, I see that a lot on LinkedIn, people making videos just for the sake of videos. Gets annoying after a bit.
Yeah.
If you haven't got anything constructive to say, don't just say nothing.
Yeah.
You know,
I think there's a huge pressure now on all business owners to you know, show up more, be on video more, do what all the sexy marketing is saying, and they don't figure out actually, one, what they enjoy doing,
yeah,
and
you
two,
can tell.
what
Yeah,
works for them, you know, because
yeah,
I completely see that all the time when people are on video and they're trying to be all passionate and they just look miserable. And you're thinking, just leave it. Don't worry about it today. Just write a post, or don't even worry about doing any content. The world's not going to end. Your business isn't going to fail. So how do people, or how did you then, better question, how did you figure out your style online?
What you see is what you get with me, basically. You meet me in person, you won't get anything different from the Angela that you'll see on videos. You know, I try and make people laugh, I try and make people happy, and that's literally my sole aim in life. I enjoy that, I get a huge kick out of it. And happy for me is that they're in the right job, they've got the right team with them, and that sort of all is extended into my business life. There's no point in trying to be fake. Somebody called me out once and said, oh, you know, you always seem to be jetting off here, there and everywhere, and is that really the life you lead? I'm like, mate, I'm a single mum with hundreds of kids. I'm like in a shoe, you know, I don't have a jet set lifestyle at all. But that made me step back then and think, oh, that's the perception that I'm giving.
Yeah, I was going to say, what were you putting online for them to think that? I
was putting up holiday snaps, basically. What I wasn't doing was explaining that was over a 20-year period. So then me looking hot and sexy in a white dress outside Caesar's Palace, but that photo was nearly 25 years old. People were thinking that's what I'd done last Tuesday. No.
Yeah.
But you do have to be careful.
Exactly. You know, with LinkedIn, how much do you think people should share? Because this is always an interesting question. And you see it's come up a few times on the podcast about, you know, you shouldn't put LinkedIn isn't Facebook, that famous comment. But what are your thoughts on it?
It depends. I think you've got to judge each individual scenario carefully and on an individual basis. You know, somebody put up a post about wolf whistling at girls, get over it and all the rest of it. Oh my God, that was a red rag to a bull with me.
Okay.
I've got personal experience of somebody wolf whistling at my 13-year-old in her school uniform. I just wanted to kill someone.
You just see red.
Absolutely. So I probably massively overshared on that post, massively. And I was trying to explain how it had affected me, how it made me feel so helpless as a mother. You know, this sort of came straight out and all the rest of it. And then the other day, somebody commented about, like, I shouldn't have been using Kobe's death to get likes. I'm just like, I could defend this. I could have deleted his comment, but I thought, no, leave it. That's what he thought. That's, you know, maybe I got it wrong. I don't know, but I certainly wasn't using the death of a basketball player to get likes. It was more like, my God, people live for the moment.
Yeah.
You know? Absolutely. It came from a good place. That's what I'm thinking. And I kind of got pulled up on it again, you know, but you just live and learn. And I think that's the thing with sharing. As long as it's always authentic, it's what you genuinely do believe and you do genuinely think, you can't go wrong, really.
No. If you're yourself, like you said, if you're yourself, then you'll soon filter the people that will never get on with you. It doesn't matter how much you try.
Yeah, no, that's true. And you don't want those people either. God, that's another thing you learn as you get older. You know, you can't please all of the people all the time, and you don't want to spend your life trying to do that either.
But it comes down to, you know, valuing your time, knowing how much your time is worth for yourself. That because there are people that and especially in recruitment, because there's so many people in that industry, that your time can just get so absorbed by people that are either never going to work with you, that
Yeah.
are just, distracting you from figuring out who you want to work with. So
Mhm.
how did you, or what do you do to make sure that the time you spend in your business is like valued, focused time?
So I guess the big thing for me is I constantly say to myself, how is this making me money? How? And this is sort of outside of recruitment as well. It's another thing that I would kind of like massively recommend to people in business. Diversify. Do not have all your eggs in one basket. I've got property. I run a nursery, children's day nursery as well.
Amazing.
Yeah, and I run, I don't run, sorry, I breed British short hair kittens. That's the most lucrative of the whole flipping lot, honestly.
Probably the most emotional though.
Oh, it's gorgeous, actually. There's times we have 13 kittens running around the house.
Wow.
The Grand
Let me
Prix
know next time. I might have to take one off your hands.
Hilarious. So yeah, diversify, do that, because one's up, the other will be down, and you won't be starving. So that's hugely important. But like when I first bought my first rental property to rent out, I got just massively over invested, and I start buying like Harlequin wallpaper and beautiful John Lewis curtains for it. And
then you're realizing, I'm not living in this.
yeah, you know where this is going, don't you? The first tenant that came in there basically nicked the flipping curtains and played darts with the wall, with my gorgeous wallpaper really badly. So there's hot all over it and all the rest of it. So I've learned now to just stop, and every single thing I do, I'm like, is this phone call going to make me money? Short or long term? And there's plenty of times where I've had good 2-hour conversation with them. They put the phone down and I haven't heard from them again for 4 years. But then they've remembered that time that I've spent with them, and it's paid dividends in the end. So that was worth that investment, even if it wasn't available immediately. But you have to keep asking yourself that constantly. How is this putting money in my pocket?
And if the answer is no, how do you know when it's no, never, and no, but not for like 6 months?
I think that's just experience. It really is. I think that down to it. You just know. I get to the point now where I can pick a CV up and I can tell you whether that's a placement or not. And you have to be quite brutal with some people, especially with what we do with the international recruitment. And you have to tell some people, look, frankly, you need to put yourself into the Australian company's shoes. Would you pay for you? Because that's what you're asking them to do. You're asking them to pay a premium more than they're going to pay all their homegrown talent, because they need to pay my fees, and they also need to pay your visa sponsorship fees. And they've also got to pay you probably a little bit more than they could get a local person to work for. So you have to be brutal with some people. Say, look, mate, where you are right here and right now, it's just not going to happen, Oh, but this is, again, where you can do the consultative side and where you can add value, and you cannot be that recruiter. And you can tell them what they need to do, because if they don't know, they don't know. So you send them away with a list of things that they need to achieve. If Australia is what you want, well, here's how you get there. And then you've done your job, and then they come back. That's the key.
That's it. And that, again, it's back to that relationship building, isn't it?
Absolutely.
How should businesses outside of the recruitment world speak to and handle recruiters? What's the best way to get the best possible solution for them?
Just be honest. I mean, this is all we ask.
You're not asking much, just be honest.
We're not asking much. We're really not. This is what always used to make me laugh years ago when I did IT recruitment, and they'd be talking to naive little Angela, who's 22, and they'd be telling me that they want PHP developers and they want Java, this, that, and the other, and they must have 5 years experience. The people that said that to me knew that Java had not been out for 5 years at the time. They knew they were just wasting everybody's friggin' time here. And what you have to remember is recruiters are a tenacious little bunch. We're like a dog with a bone. We'll go and try and find you that 5 years experience that doesn't exist. And then when we finally hit the jackpot and we find somebody with 3 out of the 5 years experience, we're going to call you back.
Yeah.
I think if people could just be really honest, you know, if you know you've been looking for somebody for 6 months with all these, this checklist, this wish list, this dream, you know, you're wasting everyone's time here by sending us off on a wild goose chase. Just be straight, and then there's a chance that actually we can take that headache away for you. We can solve that problem for you. Of course, we're going to charge you, but you know, it's one less thing for you to do. It's not your money, generally speaking. So let us help.
Exactly. It's one of those things. I think hiring anyone is one of those things where people often want the dream, but actually then have to realize that they're not going to get the dream, but they can make the dream happen once they get the person, you know.
Exactly. The other thing I always say to people is, were you perfect when you walked in through the door to the company? No, of course you weren't.
If they say yes, that's another red flag. If they say yes, you just hang up or you leave the
Sorry, bad line.
I'm going through a tunnel. But so for you, what's next? What's coming up in your world in the next in 2020?
So I'm hoping we're not going to be too badly affected by Brexit, as I kind of alluded to. My last 3 placements have all been in Berlin, so a bit nervous, I won't lie. I'm a bit nervous. We're also a little bit obviously concerned about the visa situation. I mean, Trump is, God bless him, quite volatile. I think we fairly describe him as.
Absolutely.
There seems to be no rhyme or reason to who gets the visas at the moment. Some candidates that we present are just, dreams come true and they're getting knocked back. And then others, you're like, oh, is he going to get it? Will he not get it? Zoom straight through. No.
Wow.
So there's a lot of turbulence, I think, in the air at the moment. But we're just going to keep fighting the good fight and doing what we do. And as I say, I don't place people into companies where I know they're going to have a bad time. Equally, I don't send them candidates to my clients that I know are trouble.
I hope not. Otherwise, that 3 months is going to be a short one for you. Everyone.
Exactly. It's just a waste of time. It's not where you directing your energies. You need to get it right, and you need to get it right first time. Reputation is everything.
Reputation is everything. Which brings me on to my final question for you this evening, or today, or whenever people are listening to this. And it's something I ask everyone, but if you could give let's go with someone that is starting out in recruitment, 3 tips to make them more money so they're successful, what are those 3 tips?
Focus. That's your first thing. If you've been given an area, I started out in PC development. That's a huge area. It's ridiculous. Within less than 3 weeks, the girl that I worked with and I had split the desk in 2. You go and do C++, I'll go and do Visual Basic. So that then gave us a bit more focus. We then dug in to what we actually understood, because I mean, I'll be honest, I got lumbered with C++, wasn't thrilled, but started to understand embedded software. So I'm like, all right, okay, so now I get this. And you just get that focus tighter and tighter and tighter. And that is how I personally think you make money in recruitment, is just not trying to be all things to all people. And that's the same within the childcare industry as well. I mean, my other business that I run, I do before and after school care. That's it. Somebody said to me, oh, would you have my 2-year-old? I'll pay you extra. No. That's not what the business is. It's before school and it's after school. There's no holiday club. There's no toddlers. That's it. That's what you have to do, is keep your business model nice and tight. So I suppose that's number 2, isn't it?
Go for that. Make that number 2. That's a good one.
Okay. The next one, I think, is pay yourself first. I think
that's a fantastic
important. Yeah, absolutely. You need to feel rewarded for what you do. I should have put it in a pension from day one. Whenever I got a placement, should have put £1,000 in a pension pot. I actually bought a handbag.
Well, there you go.
But it's, you know, it made me happy, and it's what kept me going, and it kept driving me forward every month, you know. And I think that is really important. It's a tough job. Recruitment is, you know, when you're in the trenches, it's a hard job. I don't care what anybody says. So you need to look after yourself and buy yourself nice things if that's what drives you forward. And if putting it in a pension is what drives you forward, you will avoid a lot of the mistakes that my generation have. So I recommend that.
Nice one. No, 3 solid tips there. And I think I think that, you know, any business owner can take from those. It's not just recruitment,
exactly.
but anyone in business should definitely be focused, you know, targeted, all those sort of things. Paying yourself, I think, is the number one for me with anything. It's, you've got to feel your worth, you've got to feel your self-value. It brings up your confidence. It confirms to you that what you're doing is good and right, and you're going in the right direction. So if you're listening and you haven't paid yourself first, write that check, make that bank transfer. Who writes checks anymore? Make the bank transfer. There's a few people that I know still use this check, and I'm just like, what people don't even know what a checkbook looks like nowadays.
No,
crazy.
Bank look at you like you've gone crazy. If
I know. They'll call you in a private room and start investigating and everything. But no, definitely pay yourself first. I think that's a really valuable tip. So thank you for that. So if anyone wants to contact you directly, what's the best way for them to do that?
Either slide into my DMs on LinkedIn. You're always welcome to message me or send me a contact request. There's very few people I'll ever say no to in terms of contact requests. So please do send them through. Obviously, the mobile number is on the LinkedIn profile as well, so you can give me a
recruiter
any reasonable hour.
Exactly. No, Andrea, thank you so much for coming on.
Pleasure.
An absolute star. This has been a really great chat, and I feel like you've given immense value to anyone listening, and any business owner, not just recruitment. So thank you so much for coming on. Thanks everyone for listening. Thanks everyone for watching. This has been Founders 365, episode 32. We are going into this month 2. So thanks everyone for supporting as well. Bye-bye.